This is the One Ring starter set. Let me show you what's inside of this box, explain the rules a bit, and give you my opinion on the whole shebang. So, inside of the box is all of this. Oh, where's the bottom? Put the bottom extra because there's a map of the Shire in the bottom, and there's a short rule overview in the top, which means you can use these two parts of the box and make yourself a small GM screen, which is a nice little idea, I think. We've got a set of dice. The game only uses D6s and D12s, and it uses special D12s that have the numbers 1 to 10, and the Eye of Sauron, and the Rune of Gandalf, Mithrandir. Explain that in a bit. We've got a number of item cards that you can just hand to your players, and they will have their required attributes for their equipment. Got a number of cards that help you keep track of combat initiative or exploration turns. Booklet for free games. Nice full color map of the Shire. And the area around the Shire. Number of pre-generated characters. Bilbo Baggins himself among them, and Balin, son of Fundin, of the Hobbit fame. But mostly hobbits. Then we've got the rules. Small booklet, easy enough to understand, not overwhelming. Let me tell you a bit about the rules. So each character is represented by their 3 attribute scores, and the big number here isn't the attribute score, it's the target number to beat. Whenever you make a roll on an attribute, you have to beat these numbers. So the better you are on attribute, the lower these numbers will be. So when you're rolling a skill check, usually it's a skill check and not a straight out attributes get, you take a feat die, one of the D12. If you've got a favored skill, that is with the boxes ticked off, you take 2 feat die and can take the better roll. And then you take a number of die for your skill level. So let's imagine I'm doing a healing check. I'm rolling just 1d6 plus the feat die, and I have to beat the corresponding attribute target number, 12 in this case. So 2 plus 4 equals 6. That doesn't look good for the guy she is trying to heal. But for example, if I were to roll stealth, 3 die, favored, this looks a lot better. So this is the Rune of Gandalf, so automatic success, but even the 13 would beat the 12 in here. And these rolls can be further modified. For example, you could have an ill-favored roll, then you take 2 feat die and take the worst result. Or you could get a bonus d6. For example, you can spend your hope points to get one bonus d6 or help from friends. Or you can get a penalty die and lose the d6. And if a situation gives you several bonus or penalty die, you add them up and take or give the resulting number of die. It's an easy enough to work system. I think the D12 chance to get an automatic success or failure is a bit high. That can be mitigated if it's a favored roll. Then the chance of success is very high. For the GM, it's nice not having to worry about target number. The target number is always the attribute of the character. So you can just give them a bonus die or a penalty die, depending on circumstances, and be done with it. So that works well enough. You've got a number of skills, 6 for each corresponding attributes, plus 4 combat proficiency, axes, bows, spears, and swords. Furthermore, the character is made up by their virtues. For your, let's say, hit points, you've got your endurance, which is first used up before you get any real injuries. And if you get real injuries, they will be something severe that has an impact on the story. And you've got hope points, which is more about your mental health. So adverse conditions and losing hope and pushing yourself over the limits to get bonus die will lower your hope score. Finally, you've got your parry score. That is just your armor class for your enemies to beat. All in all, simple enough system. I could have gone with even simpler, but I'm an old school guy in that regard. Certainly not too complex with the number of skills and feats and builds and everything. Can work with this. So the adventures. Yes, there's a number of pre-made adventures that take you throughout all of the Shire and not much further. Yeah, I don't want to spoil the adventures. So then we've got a description of the Shire, the 4 farthings of the Shire, and strewn in here are rumors. For every region there are some random tables, some rumors. You can pick up in the local taverns, gossip, and seasoned GM can use all of these rumors as a starting point for an adventure. I like that. I like my random tables and my rumors and my adventure ideas. I don't need long pre-written adventures, just give me an idea to start with. I love the art style, I love the artwork in all of it. It's very beautiful and it's really fitting to the tone, to the mood, to the whole setting. Very nice. Now there's one thing that is missing in this book, and it's a description of a tavern. Supposedly there are a lot of taverns in the Shire, so much so that during travel, one of the results for a complication is you spend too much time in a tavern and got delayed. But there's not one description of an exemplary tavern. There's no tavern menu. And I would have liked to see that. Furthermore, in the rules there are no equipment tables. None at all. You only got these here, equipment cards, and these only cover weapons and armor. So no prices for length of rope or anything. I don't think I've missed it anywhere. I've certainly looked for one. Now, similar to the D&D starter kit, there are no rules to generate characters. So if you don't like the pre-generated characters, you are stuck. Which is why I greatly prefer the D&D Essentials kit that gives you all of the rules to create and play characters up to level 6. This is very limited in this regard to play the pre-generated characters. Now, the adventures. I think they are... I don't know what to say. I think the adventures are too small. They are not adventure-y enough. All of the adventures play in the Shire. They are very linear, very easy, and the conflict, if you can call it so, is very small. These are the kind of adventures you could have if you go out of your door and go hiking. Now, this fits the tone of this whole box very well, these Shire Hobbit adventures. But I don't think I have a group, and I don't know a group of gamers that would enjoy playing these adventures. It's a bit like this is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, the role-playing game. You could place all of these adventures in Ponyville and replace hobbits with ponies, and no one would notice the difference. I mean, if you're really going for this Shire Hobbit adventure things, and that is your thing, that's okay. But I know my players are looking for more adventure, more dangers, more ancient treasures, and not hiking in the Shire. Furthermore, what I don't like is how these adventures are presented. There's a lot of pre-written text, and I mean a lot. They are very linear. There's a lot of unnecessary, I think, roles in here. And it stays in this style. This is not progressing, this is not helping a new GM learning the ropes from having a very detailed first adventure that shows how everything is done, how and when to roll, how to present an adventure, and then progressing to having just a few adventure hooks and a few locations and stats, and having the GM coming up with the written text and the descriptions. This is not progressing at all. So this is not teaching a new GM how to run the game. If you've run out of pre-generated adventures, you could use this book to make up your own adventures, but you would have no idea how to do it. You would think, yeah, I have to prepare the adventures in this style. And who wants to write pages and pages of adventures with pre-written text just to run a game? This is no return of the lazy dungeon master. The Arborea RPG is doing a much better job of teaching you how to run a game. Well, I don't like the system itself that much. It's serviceable, but it's not very elegant. The way the adventures are presented is much superior. They start out similar to this, with very detailed descriptions and written text of what to do, when to roll, but it becomes less and less as the GM and the party progress through the adventures, until at the end you only have a few story prompts, stat blocks, brief descriptions of places, and you as the GM can flesh out everything around it. So I think Arborea is doing a good job of teaching new GMs how to run the game, how to make their own adventures. Better than this, at least. So in the end, all in all, I don't think I can really recommend this box. Unless you are a huge fan of Hobbits and the Shire, then this is great. This gives you a good description of the Shire, a lot of sample Hobbits, but I really don't know who this is for. I can't see a group of children that are just starting their RPG, that just start out playing RPG, playing a bunch of Hobbits instead of Dungeons and Dragons, instead of going out and having big mighty adventures and slaying dragons and looting treasure, having wild, colorful, magical characters. Instead of that, you have a bunch of very down-to-earth hobbits. So this would appeal more to fans of hobbits, not even fans of The Hobbit, because in The Hobbit you had a big, mighty adventure traveling through Middle-earth and conquering dragons and getting mighty treasure and everything, battles and life and death riddles. This is just very quaint. This is for fans of the Shire that want to have very quaint little adventures in the Shire. So yeah, if you really are a fan of the Shire and want to play just in the Shire, then get the One Ring starter set. Everyone else, better get the D&D Essentials kit, or if you're a big Lord of the Rings fan, get the core rules for the One Ring. Don't get the starter set. It's sadly a waste of money. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I don't know anything. So let me know in the comments below. What's your favorite character class? What's your favorite race in the whole of Middle-earth and the whole of the Lord of the Rings? Is it hobbits? Thanks for watching and goodbye.